Hey there, friends. So today I really wanted to take just a couple minutes and talk to you about dramatic relationships. Okay, we're going to talk about what makes a relationship overly dramatic. We're going to talk about how to know if you're in a dramatic relationship. And I'm going to give you about 6 different things you can do if you are in this type of relationship. All right. But before I jump in, I just want to ask you, please leave your comments for me, especially if you find this helpful or if you need clarification on anything or if you have any questions about this topic or anything relationship related at all, right? Because I would love to hear from you. Okay, so let's get going. So, like I just said, some of you are in like highly dramatic relationships. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about a relationship where you have normal drama, like it's isolated. You're going through a stressful situation, and so tensions are running high, and so there might be a meltdown and an argument, or a bad argument from time to time. Like that's totally normal relationship stuff. What I'm talking about is the kind of relationship where there always seems to be some kind of crisis, or you feel like you're often in emotional like chaos or turmoil. That's the kind of relationship that I'm talking about today. The reason why I'm talking about this, first of all, is because recently I've had more and more people coming to me in these kind of relationships. And secondly, because it really does start to take a really big toll on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. Over time, what happens is these relationships become really exhausting and they will literally suck the joy out of you. They take up a lot of space in your mind. It can mess with your sleep. It causes undue significant stress. It can cause anxiety. It can distract you from your job or from school, studying, or whatever is important to you. It becomes to kind of like interfere and seep into all the different areas of your life. And that just frankly is not helpful for you, nor is it healthy for you. So what like kind of creates a dramatic relationship is typically one partner, but sometimes you will find a relationship where both people are kind of equally dramatic or they kind of take turns being overly dramatic. But usually it's one partner that is consistently causing the upheaval and the chaos in the relationship. So if you're in this kind of relationship, what you're probably going to notice is a lot of unnecessary arguing. Things are blown way out of proportion and everything just kind of seems to be like a really big deal and a crisis. A lot of times, at least in my experience, we're working with people, I see that there's a lot of jealousy, accusations get thrown around a lot, especially accusations like about cheating or gossiping or whatever. There seems to be like one of the partners really needs a lot of validation, constant attention. And that partner usually really thrives in the chaos. It actually can become quite addicting. Actually, chaotic relationships, dramatic relationships, actually do have a component that that is addicting to some people. So in this kind of relationship, there seems to be a really big victim component, meaning one of the partners consistently blames other people for things that are going wrong in their lives. Like I already said, accusations. One partner usually really doesn't take very much responsibility for their behaviors. And when someone doesn't take responsibility for what's going on in their life, it really makes it challenging for you to resolve conflict. Because in order to really acknowledge and resolve conflict, you have to accept your responsibility for your part of the situation. So in these kind of relationships, there's one partner that really rarely tends to, take responsibility. And last, there tends to be some gaslighting involved. Not all the time, but oftentimes you'll find gaslighting, which is just basically emotional manipulation, which completely sucks. So what causes like somebody to be overly dramatic? Well, oftentimes you'll see that this person might come from a family where it was unstable, the family was chaotic. And so then what they do is because you learned how to communicate from your family, that gets brought into your adult relationships. Maybe there's past trauma, unresolved personal issues, and sometimes it's actually mental illness that is driving the overly dramatic relationship, which is a whole nother topic. But those are just like some common reasons why somebody might have the propensity to cause a lot of drama in a relationship. Now, these are not healthy relationships, and I do not want that for you. So, if you think that you're in an overly dramatic relationship, what can you do? Well, the first thing, if you're the person causing the drama, I would really like to suggest that you get help. Get some help learning how to process things that are going on in your life and learning how to manage your emotions. That's going to help you in the relationship that you're in and then in potential future relationships as well. Now, if it's not you, if you're the person that's getting sucked into the drama often, and this is your partner causing it, I have 6 suggestions. Here's the first one. Reflect. Really reflect on what is it that you want for your life. Is this the kind of relationship that you want to be in? Okay. Now I have to warn you, if you're like, hell no, I know this is my sign, I want to get out. To get out of an overly dramatic relationship is really hard. And frankly, it usually involves more drama, right? So you have to be mentally prepared for that. I also suggest if you decide you want out of the relationship to get a good support system in place, because it's really easy in these kind of relationships to get sucked back in. And then you end up in that whole break up, get back together, break up, get back together vicious cycle, which is really dysfunctional and not healthy for anyone involved. Now, if you are in a holding pattern, if you're like, I don't know if I want to stay or go, so I'm going to stay for now, or I'm going to stay, like, let's pretend that's your decision, which is totally fine. Here are my suggestions for you. The first one is to keep a journal. It doesn't have to be like 5 pages every day. Just jot down consistently things that are going on in your relationship, things that are going on in your life, which is fun anyway to look back on. But the reason for this is because if there is gaslighting going on, this helps you feel a little bit less crazy. Because if you've ever been in a relationship where someone gaslit you, it's a mind fuck. Seriously, you literally feel like you're losing your mind. So being able to go back and reflect on things that you've written down, your perception of things that are going on will really help you stay grounded when you're suspecting there might be some gaslighting or emotional manipulation trying to happen. Okay, so when things are going sideways in the heat of the moment, you need to do your best to stay calm and as neutral as possible. Try not to get sucked into the drama, okay? Because that's just going to cause a lot of angst and anxiety and all this other stuff inside of you, and frankly, it just doesn't feel good. So that's my suggestion. Try not to get sucked in. Number 3, remind yourself that your partner is responsible for what he or she is experiencing. They're responsible for their own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, not you, okay? So you have to remind yourself that. That also might help you not get sucked into it. Number 4, refrain as best you can from name calling. Now, I know that's really hard, especially if they're name calling you, especially if you do end up getting sucked in. So just do your best not to do that. Try not to insult your partner. All that does is just like blow things up and make it more challenging. 5, de-escalate. If you can, do your best to try to de-escalate and bring down the temperature of what's going on. How do you do that? One of my suggestions is to say something like, look, I'm not going to continue this conversation until we've both calmed down. Now notice I said we, not you. Nobody likes to be told to calm down when they're upset, right? I don't like it. You probably don't like it. All that's going to do is like literally pour fuel on the fire. So just look, let's resume this conversation once we've both had a few minutes to decompress and be calm. All right. So that's how you kind of like de-escalate. And then number 6 and the last, and my last suggestion, and the most important is, especially in these relationships, but frankly in all relationships, you need to have clear boundaries, okay? Now, if you don't know how to set a boundary, I'm going to be talking about that in the future, but in a nutshell, you need to decide what behaviors are and are not acceptable to you. And what are you going to do if your partner does the unacceptable behavior? So an example would be, like for me, I don't want to be yelled at and I don't want anybody calling me names. I just find that unacceptable. So an example of a boundary would be, if they call me a name, if they call you a name, you exit the conversation. You leave the room, politely, you hang up the phone, you go for a walk, you say, look, I'm not going to continue this conversation if you're going to continue to yell at me, or if you're going to continue to call me names. Okay. And then if they do continue, then you have your exit plan, right? So other things that I would suggest taking a look at as far as boundaries go would be, like I already said, yelling, name calling, maybe like bad mouthing people that you care about. That oftentimes happens. If your partner throws things and that bothers you, that could be a boundary. And then in some cases, people will push and get really physical, and that is usually not healthy either. And so I would, if that's happening, I would suggest considering setting a boundary around that. All right. So as you can see, overly dramatic relationships do have a negative impact on your life, generally speaking, overall. All right. So you guys, if you want help, I'm here to help you. I do one-on-one coaching. If you'd like to chat, you can find me a couple of ways. You can go to my website, kahoskins.com. I'm going to put that in the show notes. I'm also going to put my email address in the show notes, and you can send me an email. We can just book a consultation from my website, or shoot me an email, and we can come up with a time to chat just to kind of see what us working together might look like. All right. And again, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put those in the comments section. All right, you guys, that's it for now. I'll see you next time.